Welcome to the perpetual show, where the loaves go, we've got flow. Oh yeah. Driving through the fields of green, oh so bright, with the loaf by your side, everything feels right. Loafing through the fields, feeling so alive. In our boxy Russian van, we're taking our stride. Past the fallen soldiers, a bittersweet sight. But we're cruising on this road tonight. Bouncing to the rhythm, calypso in our soul. The loaf's engine purring as our story unfolds. We're singing and we're dancing, the sun shining above. The loaf takes us places where we find love. Loafing through the fields, feeling so alive. In our boxy Russian van, we're taking our stride. Past the fallen soldiers, a bittersweet sight. But we're cruising on this road tonight. Bouncing to the rhythm, calypso in our soul. The love's engine purring as our story unfolds. We're singing and we're dancing, the sun shining above. The loaf takes us places where we find love.
Hello, everybody. I hope you hear us. I hope it's working this time, unlike the other times when it didn't work. Uh, so, we're back. It's been a week. I've decided that I'm going to do more videos going forward. I wanted to do more this week, but I couldn't. But I think next week I'm going to try to do more videos. I don't know what the videos are going to be about. They're probably going to be short. Probably. Maybe I'll go back to making like 5-minute videos. Those were kind of fun, but then I ran out of time. But I kind of want to make time for it. Because making a 5-minute video takes like a half hour. Sometimes longer. The shorter the video, the more time it takes. Like making the 1.5-minute video took me like 3 hours. But Gick, were you influenced by CrowdStrike today?
No, I was on a day off, which didn't feel like a day off, so I'm not sure if we were affected at work. But I was completely like just reading everything, and that's it.
It's funny to me. I used to work in IT. I did not work for a big enterprise company. Where I worked, we only had like 600 computers. But I remember a day when I had to manually fix all 600 computers, and it was awful. And I'm just like laughing at the idea of having to fix like 600,000 computers. I just find it funny. Like, geez, it would be so terrible. I'm glad I do not have that job anymore. Um, they say they can't hear you. Can you talk again? I think they can hear you. I think they're lying.
Yeah, I think they're lying.
Yeah, they're lying. They're made of lies.
Yeah,
Okay.
because someone said well deserved, and it must be in relation to my day off.
Yeah. Or
I hope so. At least. Get back to work.
Anyways. So there was news this week, right? There was some news. There was some bad news, mostly bad news, let's be honest, mostly bad. But there is good news too. But let's just go through the bad news. Okay, I think the worst news that happened today, and it's not mapped because we haven't mapped today yet, but Mykolaiv got hit by a missile strike, I think. I think it was a missile strike. that just devastated Mykolaiv. Um, the photos are awful. There's just like, I don't know how else to describe it other than there's just like dead old women everywhere. There's just piles of like dead women. I don't know what the death toll was, but the photos I've seen were really bad. Um, so that happened in Mykolaiv. Um, there was also a bunch of airstrikes in Sumy, although they're being really cagey about where it is in Sumy. I don't know why they're being so cagey about it. It's not the city. It's not the city of Sumy, but that's somewhere in the Oblast somewhere. See, I'll just draw. It's like here-ish, in this circle right here. I don't know why they're being so weird about it. They're like somewhere in Sumy. I kept looking for official sources. There might be like less official sources, but none of the official sources would admit even what part of Sumy it was in. Like they wouldn't even say if it was the north or the south. They're like just somewhere in this weird like a mystery part of Sumy got hit by airstrikes and lit this like giant building on fire. I can probably show you a video of the fire, I think. A second. Uh, yeah. Here, I will show you this fire. This is playing at really high speed because I watch everything at 250% now. But yeah, so and this isn't the only place either. There was Bilozerka was also just demolished by shelling today. I can show pictures of that too, probably. I can try to find one that's not gruesome. So here's an image. There were a lot of casualties in this shelling as well. I can't remember the exact number, but there were a bunch. Liman got hit by really heavy shelling. So this is Bilozerka again. So this is it basically wiped out a whole neighborhood with grads, I think, probably, or maybe something bigger. Liman got hit by extensive shelling today. This is Liman. Today was a day of just really, really bad shelling of civilian areas, basically, or what I see as civilian. I don't, I don't even know anymore. And then of course, there's a Chuyiv. I never know how to pronounce that place, and I know I always say it wrong, and then people make fun of me for it, but that's okay. But they got hit by S-300, I think at like 4 a.m. today, and it did tremendous damage. It, um, I believe I can't remember the casualties, to be honest. I'm kind of at the point where I don't even like reading the casualty figures anymore because they're significant. It was very significant. But yeah, so that is the opening salvo of news today. It's terrible. It is awful, and we're talking about this area of Kherson getting hit by MRL of some sort, probably grids. We have Chuyiv getting hit there, Liman over here. So, and then somewhere in Sumy, don't know where. And then of course Mykolaiv. So it's just they're kind of spreading it evenly across the country at this point. Yeah, and this is most of this stuff. I believe in Sumy was an airstrike, so I guess in theory you could have air defense. Um, but the S-300s, there's no realistic way I guess you can shoot down an S-300 with like a Patriot, but the the cost is like astronomical. Like shooting down an S-300 costs so much money, and shooting down like grads is kind of like a joke. Like you're probably not gonna do it. Like that would be like the cost would be ridiculous to shoot down a grad. So a lot of these strikes are not really realistically stoppable, other than taking out the artillery pieces, shooting them. Um, so yeah, those are kind of the big news items that I saw today that were not really military related. I'm doing a brief check to see if I am forgetting something. And then, of course, there's always like the shelling along the Dnipro, Antonivka, they're shelling there. Kherson always has shelling. Um, so yeah, there's that. Moving on to something else. Oh, do you want to talk about that for a second, or do you just want to move on?
I think let's move on.
Okay.
Let's try to keep it short.
Yeah. So, what topic would you like to go to next?
I mean, clockwise the front, or did you want to talk about anything else?
That's about it, I think, for the moment. You want to do clockwise? The north. What would you like to say about the north? I have nothing to say about the north at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think there's much
Okay.
to say. At least with Lubaka, we didn't have any news this week. I think
Yeah, there
looks
was
pretty much
some.
stationary.
There were these Ukrainian drone attacks in this northern part.
Yeah, some of which I'm not entirely convinced they are very recent, at least. I mean, Vovchansk is all of the same. Russians are, removing the last walls, which were still standing. There were a couple of videos this week from Vovchansk, which are,
And today even there are airstrikes today in Vovchansk.
Yeah, but I meant the video which was released on YouTube this week, which simply shows the city, or what used to be a city. And the thing is that often in drone footage, you see, as an example, you see the high-rise area, and it appears as if there were still high-rises. And that footage, it just flew over there, and you realize, okay, the entire inner part is gone. There might be some parts of the facade still reaching up to, I don't know, 30 meters or 40 meters or what it is. But everything behind is gone. Like this entire city, it's gone.
Yeah, and keep in mind that Vovchansk like wasn't damaged when Ukraine liberated it. So it was initially captured by Russia with no significant damage, if any, like basically no damage. And then Ukraine took it back with minimal at best damage. Minimal. Like Ukraine was shelling kind of outskirts, like out here. But the city itself, like almost no damage. And there were a few Ukrainian and Western journalists who had gone to Vovchansk in the days after it was liberated and talked to people about the liberation. And they were walking around and being like this is the only place in Ukraine that's not damaged. And from the point where it was liberated until now, Russia has completely demolished it. Mostly in the past 2 months.
Yeah, it's sickening. The speed at which the city was destroyed. I mean, I don't think Bakhmut compares to this. Bakhmut has been going on for so much longer, and I still feel.
And
I mean, of
it's
course,
less
the city is
damaged.
smaller, but yeah, and looks less damaged. Yeah.
Yeah, it's less damaged. It's definitely less. There's still buildings in Bakhmut. I mean, Bakhmut. I mean, it's effectively as damaged. Like nothing in Bakhmut's gonna survive. You have to knock down everything and rebuild, basically. But there are still buildings in Bakhmut. Like, lots of them. There's lots of buildings in Bakhmut. But anyways, so that's Vovchansk. Um, Kind of more interesting to me news is that I kind of chickened out of making this map update on the 17th because we had a Russian vehicle of some sort. It's like impossible to tell what it was. Probably like a BMP. It drove up and got hit by something and stopped there. And but Russia has captured that ground. They're kind of moving up very slowly south of Stepova Novoselivka. So they are trying to move just generally west. Yeah, and they're moving along probably like the most logical place to go, which is along the rail. It's a lot easier to move along the rail than it is across these large fields and whatnot. So that's what they're doing. I don't really have anything else to say about that. It's just kind of like obvious that they would do that. Um, I never know how to pronounce this. Is it Pishana? Pishana? Anyway, in Pishana, we had these videos of little Russians running around. This was a rather long video that had lots of little parts in it, and I could only find a few parts. There were more parts that were findable, but I couldn't find them. I think they were over here though. But anyways, so I've heard, I don't know about you, but I've heard that Russia is establishing more of this gray area. So they've been kind of moving into this gray area on the western part of the town, and that they're gradually capturing it. But it's a non-trivial thing to capture. So and I think you can really only get there on foot. Maybe on like a golf cart, but you can't really bring heavy vehicles here because of these big wide open fields, and there's I believe there's like a hill over here that overlooks it. It's just a really bad place to bring vehicles. So they're trying. So yeah, there's that. And more recently, there is the going on south. There is this advance towards Nevske, where yesterday we had this video of cluster munition shelling along these little forest areas here that we used to think was Ukrainian controlled, but isn't anymore. They're gradually moving towards Nevsky, and in parallel to that, we had video of a Russian assault near Terney, to the north of where they used to assault. We also had a video of Ukrainian assault in the opposite direction. So
that wasn't an assault there. There was a rotation, so the Ukrainians were established in that position.
Yeah,
but they were delivering ammo under shelling, which was kind of interesting to see.
Lord Flashheart is delivering eyeballs to people. Little green eyeballs, not human eyeballs, green eyeballs. The difference. Less weird. Anyways. So yeah, this kind of Nevska area and also Makivka, they're just kind of pushing along this entire front here, just moving towards the Zherabets. I am not convinced they'll ever actually capture the Zherabets. I don't think they really can, to be totally honest. As they get closer to the Zherabets, it gets harder and harder. As you can kind of see it on this map here, that this is a kind of a really steep cliff almost, where Ukraine has all the high grounds. And as you get closer to that, this high ground becomes more of an advantage. And eventually, Russia is going to have to fight up that high ground, which is not easy. It's just not fun to fight up a cliff. So I don't think they're going to be able to actually capture the Zherabets. They might be able to get to the river itself, which is kind of irrelevant, to be honest. Especially this northern part, where it's very shallow. You know, there's not much water. The ground is relatively flat, and you can kind of just walk across it. But these hills are the real treasure here. So, and then in the southern part, there aren't any hills down here, but there are these giant ponds, which are a natural barrier. And Ukraine really cannot afford to lose these ponds. Being pushed across these ponds would be very bad. Be very, very bad, actually. So they've been doing everything they can to stay on the eastern part, which is why they're doing the counterattacks in Terni, and they're probably going to counterattack near Torska eventually, although the counterattack will probably come from the south or from the north. And so yeah, the other day we had footage from Zarichne, which is right here. This footage, what day was that? I'm lost. Am I confused? But anyways, we had footage from Zarichne, and in Zarichne, they were evacuating wounded civilians, and it was incredibly depressing to watch. Because all the civilians are elderly, basically. In fact, there was one video that I saw today that was one of the most depressing videos I've ever seen. It was like, I don't know, the guy looked like he was like 85. And he's like, I don't know, like 2 meters tall, I guess. And he weighed like, trying to convert the French units here. What are your French units? Like 45 kilograms. He weighed like 45 kilograms. And he was like 2 meters tall, I guess. Maybe taller. It was really sad. And they had to carry him out because he can't stand because he's too weak. And it was just incredibly sad to see him in that state. I don't know if he's sick or if he was starving. I think either way he was starving, but I don't know if he was actually starving or not. But anyways, the video in Zarichne was also really depressing. They were telling a story about how the police had just talked the family into removing their child from the house where he was living with his grandma. And he had left like a month ago or something. And his grandma was hit by a shell and was killed in the house. And the police were like, well, at least we saved one of them, you know? So it's just depressing. Yeah. Hi, Erland.
Good evening. Can you hear me well?
Yeah. I've just seen a lot of really bad news lately, Erland. And I feel like it has to be shared, but I also don't want to share it. I don't want to talk about the bad news because it's so depressing, but I feel like I have to.
I mean, this whole war is bad news, isn't it?
It's never-ending bad news. It's always bad news. Speaking of bad news, Gick, would you like to tell us about the flag? What do you make of the flag?
I still don't know. I'm torn in between a couple of possible scenarios of what this is.
Describe for the people who don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened here is that a Russian drone, it films a couple of dudes next to a house, which is not this house, but the house a bit further left, which do something. Then there's a cut in the video. Then there's this Russian flag.
We can just show the video, right? Because nothing happens in it.
Yeah, but it's 4 minutes.
I can fix that by going like this.
Yeah, you should. So you see a bunch of dudes here. The affiliation is not entirely clear. They do come from the south, which would be the direction the Russians are at, basically. And it's certainly made to look like those are Russians. We can't be 100% sure. If it's Russians, I think it's just 3 or 4 dudes. So very small number, very hard target to spot. Basically, if they're approaching you in that environment, and well, we don't know if they use motorcycles or whatever they use. Anyway, so those dudes are there, and then there's a flag next thing to the right, but there's a cut in between. So there's no evidence that those dudes actually put the flag up. Or maybe is that the evidence? Did I? No, there is a cut. There's a cut. There's going to be a cut.
Well, there was just a cut, but that was a dude walking into a house.
Yeah, but I don't.
Was,
yeah, exactly.
He was carrying
That's the
something.
cut.
Yeah, another cut.
So it's not 100% sure if that dude put up the flag, but certainly there is a flag there. The burn marks happened, like the burn marks behind, like in the north here. You see in the upper part. They appeared the first time on July 13th, so it's definitely also a recent video. Yeah, so this is shit. A flag there is generally shit. But we don't know if it was drone dropped after all. Maybe the soldiers there weren't Russian, and even if they were Russian currently, it could be that they I don't know, they went in there for a photo op, and I don't know if they're still there. Yeah. It's not entirely likely to me that they are still there.
You think they came from the south?
Well, given that on the same day they released a video of droning that tree line there, which you see, I'm not entirely sure if it's too likely that they came from that tree line at least.
Well, they claim to have captured Smyrna.
For a while now.
They claim to have captured it. I've seen they put up a flag, but other than that, I haven't seen any evidence of it. But let's just say that they did capture Smyrna. Going like this, I guess, wouldn't be that hard. With a few guys, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think you could bring forces there. It's 2.5 kilometers. I guess it's probably 2 kilometers in the other direction too. We don't actually know where the front line is in the south down here. I assume the Russians are. It's like there's like nothing. There's so much nothing. I don't know where the Russians are. To be honest, they could be working up this and like that, maybe, or they could be jumping up to this and moving up this way. I don't know, but I'm pretty convinced that the Ukrainians control this trench and this trench, and probably that one too. So I don't know. It's all very weird. But then the following day they did this. They fired a whole bunch of artillery and airstrikes.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if it's the following day really. The burn marks are, for the first part of the video, they are identical, so they are most certainly in a short in a short distance in terms of time to when the other video was filmed.
Look at that one.
Yeah, that one was probably the only one which hit. But yeah, we should talk about why this matters, because this is actually an unbelievably important position.
Yeah. So I'll go to the other map. The other map is not updated, but it doesn't matter. Where is it? There. Works. Okay. So you see that there's this hill here. This hill is really important. So it kind of anchors all of these positions. Oh wait. it kind of anchors all these positions. It has it sees over everything. I think it's one of the tallest hills in the region. Maybe the tallest. Probably is the tallest, to be honest. So this hill here is of extreme importance. It is very important. I'll kind of zoom out and you'll see kind of why. So on the road to Siversk, from either from the east or the south, this hill is the most dominant feature. All this is kind of low ground leading up to Siversk. It's just kind of like a river valley, I guess, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. There's like a river going through it. So there's this kind of river going up to Siversk that's all relatively flat. And then kind of this way, it's kind of relatively flat there and relatively flat there. And then you have these kind of hilly bits in the middle of all these little triangles. And this hill here is the most dominant due to its location and that it can guard the southern approach, and it can guard this kind of eastern approach. And it has done so before. The Russians have gotten to this hill before. So they have I believe there was a point where Russia was driving vehicles down. So they were approaching like this and driving their vehicles down this road and entering the village here at one point. And that was very disheartening when I saw that. And this was a long time ago. This was like after they captured Lysychansk, like immediately after. So that's like, I don't know, what was that, like 2 years ago now? So yeah, they have been here before, and Ukraine has pushed them back. But them getting here again would be very bad, because it would be probably the beginning of the end of Siversk. And if Siversk falls, then Ukraine's going to lose this whole forest. And if this forest falls, they're probably going to lose Torsk. And then they're going to lose the whole Zherebets River. So if Ivano Derivko collapses, Ukraine will probably lose all of that, like this whole part here. And then we'll have to start talking about Russia attacking Slovyansk, which would be very bad. I mean, it's obviously one of their main goals of the war is to capture Slovyansk. So, and they would probably, at that point, they would probably try to capture Liman too, because it's important for Slovyansk. So, it's all very important that Ukraine does not allow Russia to capture Ivano-Derivka. And at the moment, I'm not really worried. I don't think there's any real attack on Ivano-Derivka at the moment. And I don't think an attack would come from the south. I think it would come from the north. And now keep in mind that this here, like this field here, is basically all minefield, from what I understand. Like this is all minefield, and I think like this here is minefield. This I don't think so. So I think any like determined attack would probably come that way, which is what Russia did last time. So yeah. I'm gonna go look at the comments.
Do you think what we see there right now is a sign of having the trenches or the forces in the trenches stretched too thin? Because this is clearly mostly infantry in the region right now. I don't think I've seen much, sometimes they lose a BMP somewhere there in the field, but it's mostly infantry making those gains, which of course is Russia's strong suit because they don't care about the infantry. So.
Well, I think they care about their infantry more than people let on. But do you know which forces, what forces Ukraine has here?
10th and so 10th Mountain and 54th.
I know the 54th are up here, but I'm just not sure who is like here.
Yeah, it's 10th Mountain, and they've been there for a long time.
Yeah, the 54th. I have so much faith in the 54th. They're such a good brigade. I think it's amazing that they have not lost significant ground in a very long time. It's amazing to me because they've been outnumbered so badly, like so badly, and that they've managed to hold on using mostly drones. They're really good at drones. Yeah, I kind of feel like the drones they use are really anti-infantry drones. They don't really use like FPV drones that much. It's more like vampire drones, and they seem to have a lot of anti-personnel bombs, and also they use um, like the larger anti-tank mines. I think they pioneered it. I think they were the first to do that, to drop those big anti-tank mines on anti-tank mines on defensive areas. I do know that they work with wild hornets as well. Because the K2 battalion, I believe, works with wild hornets, and I know they recently got a batch of the Queen drones. Erland, do you want to talk about the Queen drones?
The Queen drone is cool, man. I'm lucky that I can say I'm one of the few people who are not Ukrainian who held it, and yeah, it's really cool. They can carry a lot to be an FPV drone. I think it's the largest FPV drone, attack FPV drone out there.
I'm curious how they'll use them.
Yeah, they designed them to be reusable. So using them as a kamikaze drone is basically like a last resort, or if you have a really high value target and you know you can't go back home.
I think I have a picture of
So, Erland, what makes them special other than the payload it can carry?
Well, so they did a lot of work to optimize. So when you have an FPV drone that is that large, and one of the things that is very different with FPV drones from vampire drone is that it's quite light, and when you reduce weight, you of course reduce material that is used to stiffen the drone. So they use a lot of engineering and research to find a way to eliminate vibration. So it has I mean, they revealed this anyways because they share the photos. They have like a sandwiched composite, and you see the structure in the middle there, the where they put all the batteries and the control boards and electronics. It's like a sandwiched thin aluminum plate and carbon fiber, and then this the arms are made of some very, very stiff aluminum structure. The motors are specialized, so they designed, or they required a special performance of a motor, and it's a motor made for this drone. And I think the same counts for the speed controller as well. And then they have their own control board. So it's one of the few FPV drones where everything is designed for the drone. So it's very optimized for exactly the size of the FPV drone and the target's range and payload. And then it's very flexible. So that's the whole thing. They can use it for many different things. They can use it as a repeater drone. They can use it as a bomber. It can either have cameras pointing directly down or underneath it, being a dome camera or whatever, or a tilting camera at the front. So you can kind of equip it for what you need, which reduces the cost, which makes it possible to get more drones.
So what do you think of the German drones from Donaustadt, which are made out of wood, which is of course heavier but cheaper?
I don't think it's a problem if they intend to use it for shorter range, I guess. And there's a lot of FPV drones being used, within 5 to 10 kilometer range. I don't know anything about the performance of it, so I think it's interesting, but they don't really make too many of them, do they?
Well, I think they just delivered a test batch, so probably a relatively small amount. But honestly, I do appreciate that they do it that way. That way they can, get feedback relatively quickly and, improve.
Yeah. I mean, that they cooperate directly with units in Ukraine is going to be incredibly valuable to them, and they probably will get good feedback. I hope that what they did a lot of work on the electronics. I'm not sure what kind of control boards, radios they use. And I think that those are kind of the two main components that is going to define how FPV drone warfare is going to continue.
Well, talking about that, you also made a post this week about a special new drone or something which might still be in development. After we had the video from Vuhledar, which was a close miss of a Russian helicopter. Andrew, do you want to show it? I shared the link in Discord.
Okay, I have to figure out how to get rid of our commander there. Okay.
Yeah, so when I was in Ukraine, I met with people from the Wild Hornets, and they were incredibly proud of this thing, even though it was just a test drone that they showed us. I'm not sure if it kept the same design, but I've seen some images where the same design is, didn't really have the right trajectory, did it? But I asked, what is this drone for? And they're like, aircraft. What do you mean aircraft? Taking down helicopters and maybe some other aircraft.
So do you think it will come with some AI basically calculating the vectors of both airframes traveling to give you an optimized route to intercept?
I think that is going to happen anyways. And I know, from our interview, if you remember with the Wild Hornets, they said they're working a lot on AI. So why wouldn't they do it on this one?
Well, I do not think this is using AI. Not this drone. This video.
Yeah, this drone isn't, because
you'd be flying like that way, not this way. You're going like that. Because it could have hit this helicopter. It could have, but it's flying at the helicopter.
Yeah, the issue is that it keeps the helicopter in frame, which you can't do. And this is also something where I think AI will lack, because as long as you keep looking at the helicopter, you're most likely not going to be on the right path.
Yeah,
they probably need a wide angle camera and 2 cameras at least.
Or it just has to be on a gimbal, just to move.
Where was the? Did you geolocate it, Kick?
I don't think I tried, because it was a miss. I remember I kept it open, but also, I mean, you see it's basically just 2 tree lines, which we can see here. But Bulava is or should be in the south around Uroshine. So I can probably reliably tell you it's around there.
Yeah, okay. Well, it would
Yeah,
just
I
be
mean-
interesting how far away from the front line it is.
Well-
I doubt it's far because these helicopters, they don't shoot that far. I mean, they can shoot further than they do. So these helicopters, from I've seen of recent helicopter videos, of Eurogina, they fly up to like here and shoot from like there, and it's like,
What?
why are they so close? It's crazy. But that's what I've seen them do. Like they're shooting like around here.
That tells me that Ukraine has a severe lack of man pads.
You also didn't get an angle on those helicopters with manpads. With ground view, you barely see them. They are really low. You know, they race once to unload their unguided rockets, but
And you don't even have to aim that high if you're getting so close. You can almost shoot down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if the helicopter is like right here. We
Yeah,
know that back when Ukraine was attacking here and they were, going through trying to push south, Russia had a helicopter basically just hovering right here, like all day, every day, just shooting missiles at everything. This is like their helicopters like all operate like right here. So
I think this was a test. I'm certain that this is like, we need to test this thing to get data. Please try to employ it or deploy it, and then if they maybe this wasn't the first time it's been flying. Maybe they tried to intercept helicopters 10 times and they just didn't manage to get close. Who knows? But they're getting data back from Bulava units for sure. I know that Bulava unit is like their main unit, the one they support the most, even though they support a bunch of different units. But yeah, the Wild Hornets is funny because they don't make the most drones at all. They make quite a sizable batch every month, but it's a couple of thousand plus, I think.
yeah, they could make more. I feel like we should get them more money so that they can make more.
Yeah, I agree. They should honestly be sponsored like millions of dollars, but
Yeah, they should be making probably at least 10 times more, if not like 20 times more than they're doing right now.
But what I admire is the constant like striving to develop new features and make the drones better and optimize them.
yeah, what I saw today, actually, I watched it today, but I think it was a documentary from 2 days ago on German television where German reporters went to visit Dimco with Chigas Paw. You probably all know it. At least I hope you do, because it's always a good case to donate to. And so Dimco was also talking about drones and about a special unit apparently in the 14th Regiment, which is specializing on a drone versus, I guess, recon drone warfare. It appears that the more or less random occurrences which we saw recently is already being professionalized in that having special units and also special drones just against Russian recon drones. Did you hear anything of that?
I do believe there is a tender out for anti-aircraft drones. So that would explain that several manufacturers and developers, drone and drone teams are trying to make that happen. I don't know what the criterias are for that, but I mean, I've read some rumors about anti-aircraft drones with top speed of 600 kilometers, and I assume that that means that the terminal phase of the flight is rocket assisted. So when I met some of the people there, they said, I asked, like, can you put a rocket on that thing? And they were like, yeah, you can. But it clearly wasn't there yet, but it's possible. And the shape of the thing is, that's why I asked. It has a very particular shape.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen, I think today or yesterday, there were some Ukrainians posting about the drone that has like a top speed of 600 kilometers an hour.
What is the top speed of those racing drones, which are still propeller driven, but they also have this special shape?
I think like 200 to 300 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
But they're very light. You won't be able to get to 600 kilometers an hour going straight in a straight line with propellers, I think.
No, but you can do it with a jet.
Yeah, but I don't think they need a jet. I think they will fly with propellers, and then they have a solid fuel booster in the body.
The jet is much more versatile though, because you can try again. You can turn around to try again. They can hover too.
Yeah, but it's heavy, so it has to. Well, if it flies purely by jet, then sure, but you need fuel, and I don't know. I think solid rocket fuel. I think that's what. I think they're gonna have a booster in the terminal phase, just like any other ATGM or guided missile.
Oh. We'll see. I just want to see a helicopter get shellacked by a drone.
I think it's gonna happen soon. To be honest, we know already there are
It
more.
could have happened. It could have happened already. It's just
Yeah. They missed.
they're piloting like they're attacking a ground vehicle when they're attacking a helicopter. Like that's the thing. I feel like if the pilots were trained to attack a helicopter, they would do it. But there's no reason to train a pilot to attack a helicopter. Like it would have to be like a guy who only attacks helicopters. And maybe you'd get to the point where you would have that guy, but they're not there yet. So like you're taking guys who are trained to do one thing and asking them to do something totally different, and they're not good at it, which is exactly what you would expect them to be.
Or not that they're not good at it, but they're trained to hit vehicles on the ground. And Bulava has really good pilots.
It's
And I'm
taking it's like taking a cricket player and telling them to play baseball. It's like
I'm just imagining like the pilot knew that he shouldn't be doing it, like he's trying to hit the vehicle, right? But then instincts kick in when he goes into attack mode, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult to untrain something that you've trained for a year every day. And the Bulava pilots are really good. We've seen them, hit a lot of vehicles moving in speed. And I mean, wasn't it Bulava also that flew like super far behind the front lines and destroyed like a whole garage full of vehicles?
Yeah, but it wasn't that far.
Oh, it wasn't that far.
It was south of Staromilnivka. Or Staromayorsk, I think. I always mix up those two towns.
Man, the thing is, the Bulava needs to get the same radio equipment that, or the same people doing the radio setup that Magyar has.
Well, to be honest, everyone should.
Yeah. That's what I noticed from the video most. It's like the video quality isn't really good enough, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Magyar flying through a pipe underground and still having a perfect feed. So video feed.
He flew into a building and was going through the rooms and had no problem.
Yeah, what the signals guys are doing in his battalion is just insane. I mean, I think they're using balloons, Andrew. It's insane.
War balloons.
It's such a stable signal too.
Yeah. They flew underground.
Yeah, in a pipe.
No, I mean underground into a
bunker.
basement.
Ah.
They flew into a basement and were looking around for a guy who hid down there.
Yeah.
Moving on. So, Chasivyar, the Russians have pushed up to the canal, which is no surprise, to be honest. We had heard that there was one last group of Ukrainians who were holding across the canal for a while, and that they had to withdraw at one point. And then we kind of suspected that Russia would capture all of their positions since they abandoned them, and they did, which is not surprising. So now the front line is the canal, and Russia is trying to cross that canal, and I don't think it's going too well for them at the moment. We've heard a lot of stories of high casualties. I don't know if they're true. I wouldn't doubt it. These canal crossings, you basically can only cross right here, and down in the right here. So these are kind of the only two places you can realistically cross. This whole middle area here is very steep and practically impassable. As you go further south, it gets easier to cross, but that's a different story. And so yeah, these two crossing points are the main places where Russia can attack. So they have to focus all their forces into these two bottlenecks. And not only will they have to focus into the bottleneck just to capture the bottleneck and go through it, but then once they're to the other side, they're going to have to put all their logistics through these two bottlenecks. And that's going to be a nightmare for them. It's going to be an ongoing problem. It's going to be really difficult for Russia to attack Chasivyar, I think.
Ukraine needs a lot of mortars there.
Yeah, this is a great place for mortars. This is the ideal place to have mortars.
I mean, you need all of them. You need the 120s, you need the 81s. I mean, any indirect fire with short range is very, very useful there.
You have all these places you can hide mortars too. Like all these like pits that you can kind of crawl into and make a little dugout and fire some mortars out of, and do a lot of damage. Yeah, I don't know if Ukraine has enough mortars for this. I don't think they do. They definitely did not build the proper defenses. We've talked about that before. It's unfortunate because Ukraine could have turned this into like an impassable location.
How's the forest there now? Is it deforested?
No, it's surprisingly intact. I expect it to all disappear pretty soon.
Because in front of the canal there, they should have definitely deforested like 100-meter field in front of the canal.
The problem with deforesting is that it's a double-edged sword. So you can deforest it to make it harder to defend, but then it's harder to attack, and vice versa. So
yeah, but over the canal there, just
yeah. I mean, if I were in charge, I would have dug a trench all the way across, like a really deep, thick anti-vehicle trench, and I would have built concrete fortifications all along, because I feel like you could completely concrete this whole place. It's like 700 meters. It's not that far. You could put like concrete bunkers like every 10 meters or so. And you could have built underground bunkers too. Ukraine could have gone to town on this. It's not a big area. It's not like we're talking about defending, 50 kilometers of front line. We're talking it's 700 meters. They could have gone to town. I think they're gonna regret not doing that. You could have made this impassable. It would have been, and if Russia can't cross here, and they can't cross in the south, they're gonna have a real bad time. You're gonna have to start like moving way north. You're gonna have to try to cross up here, or you're gonna have to take Klashivka and come from the south. Going through the south is probably the easiest way. Taking Klashivka and Andriivka and moving on up and trying to get to like Stupatsky and moving kind of this way. So I think that's kind of the more likely scenario for Russia if they can't cross in these two crossings. And Ukraine could have built better defenses. The defenses they built are really very pitiful. There's like a few trenches, and they're shallow trenches with no, very little overhead cover, if any, and no reinforcement. Like there's no wood. It's just like just dirt. Basically, it's a dirt trench. It's pretty pitiful. Anyway, Gick, what do you think? Have you seen have you seen anything else?
No, nothing of much interest. I think yesterday or today there's a video of Russians getting FPV drone or generally droned at the pipes.
Yeah.
So we've seen them reach there before. So far, there's no development that's super scary. Instead, it kind of feels a bit like they are trying to consolidate all of the eastern side of the channel, if you ask me.
Yep. As they go further north, it's going to get harder and harder for them. So, I have no particular news from Klashivka, so I'm just going to keep on moving. I don't really have information about Zhuzhba either. Do you have any information about Zhuzhba?
No, but I just saw that there are like 3 new videos from 95th, which are likely from there. But yeah, nothing new. It seems stable in terms of, well, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's stabilized for now.
Yeah. So these are just kind of the changes over the past week. So Russia is moving towards Zalizna. They've captured some of these buildings in it's kind of like southern part of the town here, and I'm not aware of any changes since then. Maybe these new videos would be down here. I kind of feel like they're. If I were to guess, I would assume new 95th videos would be down here, not up there. But I guess we'll see. In New York, Ukraine did a bit of a counterattack, and they captured some positions, so that's positive. So you can see that Russia was developing a foothold in this high-rise area of New York, and Ukraine kind of knocked them out of some of the high-rise territory. And I think they're trying to knock them out of the rest of the high-rise. I think that's kind of their goal at this point. And we say, go for it. You do it. Speaking of loaves burning, there was a funny video of a showroom loaf the other day that was like one of the worst loaves I've seen, like manufacturing wise. The welding was so bad on that showroom loaf. And what was the stuff on the inside of the car? I don't even know what that stuff was. But there's just like gunk. There's gunk. Oh man. That loaf cost 2 million rubles.
How much is that in real money?
Like $20,000.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a lot of money for a Russian. It's like 5 year salary or 2 year salary. 2 year salary.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of money for a car that is shit.
Yeah, you could buy like a car, like a normal car. You could probably buy a van, like an actual van, for not much more.
You could probably buy like a Nissan normal van or
Yeah.
something like that, or even like a used Mercedes van. I mean, it's insane.
I can find the loaf.
Hey, there was another loaf too. Loaf ish.
Loaf-ish.
It's a new kind of loaf. Never seen it.
Let me show you this this little silly loaf here.
It's
Oh.
super light.
Light loaf.
I don't know that one. I mean, and the funny thing about the video is that he cares about these minor things when the whole thing is shit.
Oh man. What a loaf.
Look at that fit. Oh my god.
Yeah. We're gonna get to the gunk. What is the gunk? Like honestly, I have no clue. What is that? What even is that?
Some Soviet glue he found that was like made in 1975. Hey, it's green at least, the goo.
Oh man.
I mean, they even have
Look,
bad welders.
it comes with pre-installed rust.
It has lights and a carpet inside.
It does. Technically, that's true. Technically. Yeah.
Hey, I want to see the light loaf.
What do you mean? Give me the
The
link.
super light loaf. The balloon loaf.
Oh yeah. I don't want to show that. I don't want to show that.
Okay. Okay.
I don't want to get into that. That's gonna open a can of worms I just don't feel like getting into. Okay, so there was a
And Andrew, before you continue, just to interrupt. So Alexis Chambe, I think is his Twitter handle, and we know him as Ikoma. He geolocated the helicopter. At least he's convinced that that's the spot. I didn't cross-check it. I shared it. It's actually further behind the front line than expected.
Okay.
So if you
Yeah, I'm looking.
Oh, it's here.
So if that's the true location, I guess it would be further back than expected. It's 12 kilometers to the front line.
Yeah, I mean, still, they should be able to get a good video link.
Have either of you seen the movie Waterloo? It's a classic. It's an Italian movie.
Don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Well, in the movie Waterloo, they did it's about the Battle of Waterloo, and they did the battle like full scale, like the whole battle, like every soldier, every horse. Like there's no CGI, there's no, they had the whole armies there, and it's pretty epic. I think you'll probably never see a movie like that ever again. The way they did it is that they had it was like the Italians and the Soviet army got together to pretend to be the British and the French and whatever. So yeah, that movie has a really famous cavalry scene where the cavalry charge up the hill into the square formations um of the infantry, and the cavalry like charge in, and you see like the psychology of a horse take over and how they like flow around the infantry because they're scared of running into things. It's kind of like, horse mentality. um I say that because that may be the last time we see, the old-fashioned cavalry charge. But cavalry still exists, and I have a video of it. I thought I lined this up. I thought I had the link ready to go, but I didn't. So I should have been checking if I had the link ready to go.
Hey, the segue was great, at least.
Oh god. I thought I was doing something good there, but I wasn't. Okay. Here's the video. Where did I save the video? I'm so confused. Did I save it in yesterday? I think I saved it yesterday. I didn't. Okay, so here.
Oh my god. What the hell?
Yeah. Look at this. This isn't a playback problem. This is just the way the video is. It stutters at first. But here we go. This is modern day cavalry. Look at them go. Look, it's just like in that movie where they zoom out and you see all the horses running,
The Russian army doesn't have any problems.
This was also in Eurozina, by the way. That attack, they like went out like this. So they like drove up like that. So it's like that was their cavalry charge.
I have some friends in the cavalry. Of course, they're not on motorcycles.
Then are they even cavalry?
Well, like officially cavalry, right? In our
Oh god!
branch.
Oh god! Ah!
What?
That was so loud. Oh, did you hear that? It was so painful. Okay. I found the video, by the way. Here they go, though.
Yeah, I have to send them this video.
Here. Yeah, this is part of a much larger video, but this is the only part of the video that's actually interesting to me. The other parts were just like...
My question is, do they get cavalry boots?
Did they get a saber?
At least I hope they get a black beret.
Yeah. Man. You gotta watch that scene in Waterloo, though. It's so cool. It's a classic movie. I'll tell you what. That movie, it came out, and its competitor is the movie Patton. And Waterloo is like a million times better than Patton. And I don't know why Patton became famous, to be honest, because Waterloo is so much better. It's unfair. But anyways. Any more updates? Gick, do you have anything in particular you'd like to talk about in the I guess we call it the Pokrovsk area now? Or Avdiivka? It's not really Avdiivka anymore.
Well, the Russians are making gains. It's one of the few areas where we still see them lose a tremendous amount of vehicles, which is good. So they still deploy them there. At the same time, they are still making gains. Particularly of interest, I think yesterday, Ukraine likely lost Progres. I don't know if you want to zoom in or something. Today there's a video of Russian forces in the village. Yeah, exactly, there in the village. So this village is most likely lost. At the same time, I don't think it's a surprise because I don't think there was anything to defend in between Yehenivka and Progres. So this was...
Yeah, there was a trench line that they apparently didn't defend. They're just like, okay, bye.
Yeah. But what really annoys me is that, after the fall of Avdiivka, you've seen them build like trenches everywhere in that area. And a lot of them were probably not very sophisticated, but they're still there. And it is still annoying to think that all of this, wasn't necessary. I think it's still going way too fast, considering what was invested into, into hastily build some defenses after Avdiivka.
To be fair, I think these defenses were built before Avdiivka.
Or you see new ones on Sentinel.
Oh yeah, there are new ones, yeah, for sure. But yeah, because there's two problems. There's the lack of defenses, and there's a lack of infantry. It's both. So,
did you see that the French are going to equip one entire brigade, and I think they're going to start training in France in September, and then it's 2 months until they are expected to return. All of this is...
I have seen.
It's too late.
Well, it's not too late, but they're also getting equipment too, right? Aren't they getting like a bunch of
yeah, the entire brigade is the entire brigade is going to be fielding a lot of VABs. It's going to have, I think, 20 or so of the AMX light tank, even though calling it a tank is dubious. And they're going to get some Caesars on top of that as well.
And Bogdanas.
Bogdanas? Is France building Bogdanas, or
no?
What do you mean?
But that is part of the brigade.
Okay.
They're getting, I think it's Denmark paying for it, or the Netherlands, one or the other. I think it's like 18 or something. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's Denmark.
Yeah.
So, and this is for the French brigade then?
I've heard it was part of that package. I'm not really sure how it all works together, to be honest, but that's how I've heard it described.
I think the 18 Vuhledars they were already there. That's those that are already delivered.
Okay.
But I think there are more coming. Has there been any news about how many troops the French are going to train in Ukraine? Because they said they would do both at the same time.
I don't know.
I don't think there's a reliable number, or at least I didn't read one.
See, there are people here who like the movie Waterloo. There are tens of us. There are tens of us. Anyway, north of Alexandrivka, Russia is advancing. I honestly think this is like the biggest threat that Ukraine is facing right now. Is this advance north? But whatever. They're advancing towards Progres. They are in Novoselivka, Persha. They're probably going to capture this entire little nugget of land there. They've reactivated in Karlivka, trying to capture first this land here, which probably isn't going to take much, to be honest. They're going to push Ukraine across the bridges here, and I kind of think it's going to slow down and stop once they get to the river. I just personally have a hard time believing Russia is going to be able to cross the river here. I think why cross there when you can go up here? You know, just, yeah. I think once they get to Karlivka, I think depending on what happens first, they're either going to capture Krasnohorivka and move north, or they're going to capture Karlivka and move south. I think they're going to end up capturing this whole landmass here. So I think this is all kind of going to level out at some point in the near future. I think Ukraine is just kind of slowly withdrawing, trying to give engineers time to build defenses in the rear. The rear being like back here, like here. And so I think they're kind of withdrawing, and they're going to try to defend probably a line somewhere here for a while, and then withdraw to their main defensive line here when they have to. Because once, I think this main line back here is going to require fewer men. Actually, it wouldn't even be back there. It'd be like here, really, like that. It would take fewer men to defend because there's a lot of like concrete structures and whatnot, which in theory should be easier to defend. We still call it Twitter. No one calls it X. Nobody calls it that. Mm-mm. All right. So, speaking of Krasnohorivka, I have no particular news. Russia is just slowly advancing and taking the city. And beyond that, we had a YOLO charge. You want to talk about the YOLO charge? The YOLO charge is pretty funny.
Oh, well, yeah, well, at first I called it a YOLO charge, and then there was another one which made me think, okay, so it's definitely not YOLO, but it appears to be some sort of tactics which they deploy. And the only thing I came up with is that they are lacking motorcycles in that, in that area or in that unit. So what they did, I don't know if you want to zoom in a bit, because you see all those blue bubbles. So what they did is they charged, well, in one video 1 BMP and in the other video another BMP. They charged it all along this river basin there at full speed, passing through, well, what's I guess is supposedly a minefield, and lost both vehicles, but really, really close to the supply line or to the highway there. So I'm still surprised that they got this far. I don't think it's but I don't think it's a good sign that they did. It might also, at least to me, it indicates that there might be a lack of ATGMs in this area, which wouldn't be surprising after destroying 500 vehicles in the last 2 months or something like that. But yeah, it happened. I don't necessarily think that this is a sign of, I don't know, a collapse of whatever in this area.
Russia has done this multiple times over the past 3 years. They did this in 2002, where they were YOLO charging vehicles in the exact same place. They were YOLOing here. They were also YOLOing along this road here, just trying to get to the highway, and I think they were also YOLOing across that road too. So like in 2002, they were YOLOing. I believe in 2000, in 22, in 2023, I think they also were YOLOing. I can't remember exactly. Maybe not. Maybe not in 2023. And now they're YOLOing again. They're back to their same old tricks. They love YOLOing around here. And do you know why? Because there's nothing. There's nothing. If you watch the video, you see how much nothing there is. Let me see if I can find a little bit of this video. Sure.
Well, yeah, but this one you probably shouldn't show until the end.
Yeah. I just want to show the beginning. I'm not even gonna show the video. I just want a screenshot. Here. Like, do you see just how much nothing there is? How can you like fight your way forward? What is there to fight with? There's not even bushes. Like, oh, there's some bushes, but there's no trees. There's nothing.
You're not showing it to us, by the way.
Oh, I'm not. Okay. Oh, but stop. Okay. So there's like nothing here. Do you see? Like, you have to yellow.
Yeah, I guess. And you already see a bunch of vehicles there, some of which are BMPs.
I think those BMPs are Russian. I think they're from 2022.
I'm not sure. Some of them appear to be oriented towards going back into Russian territory. So I kind of assumed it's most likely Ukrainian BMPs, but they're there, so whatever. Yeah, but if we look at the overall region there, I think if you go back on the map, there are a lot of blue bubbles, and that is because was it 72nd or 79th? I think 72nd. So they released a video which shows a tremendous amount of losses, and so Toaster on Twitter, I think Klinger66 or something like that is his handle. He has been putting a lot of work into it. Also, War Spotting, by the way, they also did a lot of work to not only find out which ones are new, which is really hard, but also to geolocate some of them. There are still a lot of which are not located, and of course, with those, even if they're geolocated, they might not be, very accurate. So it's really hard to find a vehicle in an open field if you're looking from some drone angle. Now, today there is a high-res image which covers a part of it. It covers the north of Novomikhailivka, which you always wanted. So someone finally had mercy, and it covers a bit of the south, which is also an area which the Russians like to park their vehicles in right now. Yeah. So this is something which would be really amazing to get.
Yeah. So if any of you have like $4,000 or $5,000.
just laying around.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, we may as well we could just task our own image at that point.
That's also true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this area we are 100% sure we will uncover a lot of unknown losses, or we are able to actually match losses to locations, which is helping a lot of people in the OSINT community. So any image which we get, I typically also take the time to find whatever is not located on War Spotting or what is located on War Spotting to get them the high res position, because there's it always has a chain effect. If there's a loss which is geolocated and it's not accurate and it appears somewhere in the distance again on any other video, you end up with having imprecise positions for both, and then it's just chain reaction. So the sooner you can get the precise locations, the better everything will be going forward from there. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to maybe being able to get this image.
He's been messaging me all day.
Yeah, I've been willing to sell body parts or organs to get it.
So, I'm gonna ask Erland about this because I don't think either of us know anything about this. Erland, do you know anything about the assassination today?
Nope.
Okay. So none of us can offer any information or even opinion.
Who was assassinated?
A Ukrainian woman. She was the former People's Deputy of Ukraine. Irina Farian. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm bad at pronouncing things. But I believe she was assassinated. She was a far-right nationalist lady. I don't even want to talk about it because I don't know anything. So I'm just going to stay out of it. Anyway, so yeah, this I don't actually know where is available, but the area that we would want is so expensive. That's so stupid. It's so expensive. Oh man. It would probably cost us like $3,000.
Yeah, luckily, in quotation marks, the image doesn't go that far south, so we can't be looking at spending that much. But it covers pretty much the entire north of Novomikhailivka, which you were asking to get an image for.
Yeah,
like,
I really want that image.
and this is all on there, and this is just like the northern part alone. And it also covers Pobieda, which there are some losses which are not precisely geolocated, and it goes almost into Marinka. So this entire area,
image just like right here.
yeah. So this, and there's one cloud, which, you know, of course, that cloud kind of sucks, but it's far enough west to not care about it. So it would almost be the entire image, which would be of value, but I mean that of course is not affordable. Sadly.
Unfortunately, I was not born wealthy.
Yeah.
I almost bought Bitcoin.
Do I, like, how many kidneys do I need? Can I sell one?
I mean, they're just not worth that much anymore. You know.
Oh really?
They used to be worth more. The kidney market has collapsed a little bit, unfortunately.
You're the expert in it. Now I wonder what happened to the slaves before me in the basement.
When you showed up, the basement was empty.
Yeah, but there were weird things laying around. Yeah.
Wow,
now I understand.
This image is really big. I'm just curious how expensive the image is itself.
Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah, just a small piece of the image is like $3,000. Let's see. Just curious. It's 5,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
there's a cloud.
So I'm gonna, yeah.
Yeah.
All my kidneys, and I don't know if anyone needs a liver or, yeah. Hook me up.
You famously don't need those. Yeah, I'm gonna cut out the cloud and see how much it costs without the cloud.
And share a screenshot so people understand just like how much this image actually covers.
The image that we're never gonna buy, and we're just gonna talk about it for a while to be sad. Yeah. So Without the cloud, it's 3,800. Take a screenshot. You can't really see much in this screenshot. It's like it's hard to understand it. But just use your imagination, and that. So so this is Mariinka, and this is Novomykolaivka, and this is Konstantinivka, and well, this is Pobieda, and right here, like right here, we know Russia lost approximately 100 million vehicles. Approximately. This is where they just kept blowing up, just over and over again, blowing up, and we know there's stuff in Pobieda that we don't have.
Yeah, and they are attacking out of Marinka towards Seorivka, and they're losing a lot of vehicles there too.
Yeah.
So
and
those are, they are rather easy to understand roughly where they are.
These attacks too, like these ones,
and
north of Pereskovivka, those are hard to geolocate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. That's Gik's beg, his plea. Are any of you a billionaire? Make Gik happy. Anyways. I guess I don't actually want to, but I guess we have to talk about Eurozhina. Eurozhina collapsed and Ukraine left. Ukraine tried to hold on to the outskirts for a while, but they were kicked out. And that happened a while ago. It happened like a week ago at this point, right? Is there really anything else to talk about? That's interesting.
Well,
that's interesting to add on. Is there?
Well, I would be interested in the prospects of it. How do you think it will develop? Because I currently don't see it, collapsing.
Well, first off, I think Ukraine can lose all of these towns and it wouldn't make a difference to anything. Ukraine's front line is like up here. That's the way I view it. Is that Ukraine's front line is like up here, and everything south is like house money. So I think Russia is going to have such a hard time moving north. Moving through these fields is going to be absolutely brutal for Russia. I don't think they even have the vehicles to do it. Blahudatny is a ruin, a complete ruin. Makarivka is a very tiny town, very tiny, like super itty bitty. And Ukraine has the high ground here. So Ukraine has this high ground. Russia is going to be moving through the low ground, probably, unless they try to wrap around through Rivnopil, which I guess they could do. I mean, there's no reason they couldn't try to do that, but they haven't at all tried to do that. The closest they have got is they recaptured this ground to the west of Staromayorsk. So, but I guess they could start moving up here. But maybe.
I mean, what they tried a lot is getting out of Priyotna towards the north, and this failed spectacularly every time.
Yeah, well, yeah, they wanted Novodarivka back. That was it. Novodarivka was really important to them, to their whole defensive strategy, and they really wanted it back, but they just couldn't. They just couldn't get there. They couldn't even start to get there. They couldn't even think about getting there. Rivnopil is a little different. I could see Russia taking Rivnopil back. Novodarivka, I don't think they're gonna get back. But yeah, this whole situation, I think this is all house money. Ukraine's front line, the way I see it, they're like concrete, dug in with bunkers front line is like up here. And I don't think Russia has any realistic chance of ever breaking through that line. I think the most Russia can do is push back to Veliki Novosilka, and even if they could somehow capture Velika Novosilka, which I don't think they can, but even if they somehow did, it still wouldn't even matter. The their defenses here are like 30 kilometers deep. They're like ridiculous. They're really absurd. Um, so yeah, I just don't really care about Hiroshima, to be honest. We had some. I should turn this off. Gosh, but it's gonna be so upset. Anyway, maybe he's not watching. We had some Ukrainian drone attacks south of Vuhledar, which
Yeah,
is
and this was
so
actually interesting because we like if you go back a few days, maybe to even until early July, there should be Russian drone attacks there. Yeah, exactly. And this was interesting to me because, like, if you watch that video of the Russians droning that area, it almost looks identical to what the Ukrainians do. So, why? Great.
As
The
the
image is
image
not loading.
network. What'd you do?
I didn't do that.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's interesting because it shows basically before the attack how they suppressed the trenches and probably moved in after that, and then you now see Ukrainians do the same. Question is Ukraine going to counterattack there to get the trenches back or not? But watching both videos was actually really interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to upload those images real quick. I hate when images don't work. Like it annoys me so much.
Oh, you will have to go back a lot of days to find all the images which don't work.
Shut up. If you ever find an image that doesn't work, tell me.
Yeah.
Viewer.
Through all channels. Send him DMs, tag him a few times.
And it really pisses me off. You're like if I say something rude back, you just have to accept it. Because it really pisses me off. It really pisses me off when the image isn't there. I want the image to be there. I want to know the image isn't there. But even if it makes me very unhappy, I want to know so I can fix it.
But yeah, also why I thought this was interesting is because there were rumors that Ukraine is actually going to attack in the Marfopil area.
Yeah.
And instead, the only thing which we learned since those rumors came up is that Russia took those trenches. So yeah, I'm not sure if any attack didn't facilitate, or if maybe those trenches were Russian. And Ukraine took them, and now Russia took them back. Could also be.
I find that unlikely.
Yeah, me too. But how did you map it on the previous day?
What do you mean?
Like, was this a map change? No.
No,
Okay.
Because Ukraine has controlled these trenches for a very, very long time. In fact, I can tell you how long. Enable tooltips since April of last year.
This should probably say the year.
I've been adding it. It's just there. Do you know how many polygons there are? I add like a few every day, but there are a lot of polygons. There are a lot. The new ones say well, that's not new. The new ones say the year. See? Well, why are the images not working? I don't understand. What did I do to deserve this? Okay. Did they upload? No, they're still uploading. Anyway. The one thing I actually want to talk about, I'm just going to skip to it, is Krynky. So, Ukraine has withdrawn from Krynky. I'm not convinced Russia has actually recaptured it, by the way. But that's another story. people were freaking out about Krynky. And I think this is largely political. I think especially Ukrainians are conflating the political aspect of their leadership, their political leadership, and their general failures, where for political reasons they're using Krynky as a reason to justify blaming politicians and generals for whatever wrongs they've done. And they have done wrongs. I don't want to say they haven't because they have. They're really bad. So, but they're using Krynky as like their argument, and it's a political thing. The military analysis and that political analysis are like totally different things, and I think that Ukrainian, like the internal Korean Ukrainian political thing, is tainting the way people are viewing it on a military level, and it's weird to me. It's weird, especially for Westerners or foreigners in general, who have no connection to the politics. Like I have no connection to the politics. I don't care about the politics. Really, all I care about is Ukraine winning the war. I don't care about the politics. So, um, to me, I see Krynky as a massive military success, even though it was particularly horrible for the soldiers involved, and there were a lot of casualties. But I think the casualties actually weren't that bad. If those numbers are true, I don't think the casualties were that bad. But I think the numbers are underplaying it.
I think a lot of the Westerners that are screaming about this kept on to that dream of this being a real bridgehead for a potential operation south towards Crimea.
Yeah.
And I mean, how do you measure the success of an operation, right? We don't even know what the goals were when this operation started.
No, we don't.
But I'm quite certain that it wasn't just one goal of creating a bridgehead.
And frankly,
I don't
even care what the goals were.
But didn't this start when the things didn't go fantastic in the counteroffensive last summer?
You could think of it that way, yeah. It started sooner than that, but you could think of it that way.
Yeah, I mean, they were on the islands for months, I guess.
And they had established themselves in Dachi. They had established themselves on whatever this island's called, and they had captured this strip of land here. So okay, and there's more south too, but I don't care. All of these things, I think, were major starting points of their push towards Krynky. And I want you to keep in mind that Krynky was not the only place they had a bridgehead. We know for a fact they had a bridgehead here, and that's why it's still a gray area. I don't actually. This is the most bizarre bridgehead, because we know that Ukraine was here. We know that Russia could not push them out, but we don't know what happened, and it's weird to me. We know that Russia kept trying to push them out, but I don't know. I don't even know what to make of it.
Some people say they're still there.
Yeah, I that's why I still have a gray area. There was the Krynky. They had gotten into Kozachi Lahiri as well. And I have heard rumors that there may have been another bridgehead up here somewhere, like maybe Karsunka or something. I've heard that there was another bridgehead in the north, and so yeah, there wasn't only one bridgehead, and I kind of get the impression that Ukraine was kind of like rotating between which ones they were supporting. And of course, they had this kind of main area across the the Dnipro here, and their main area in Dachi, which I believe are still both controlled more or less. And they had some of these more southern islands, and they had captured and then lost and captured and lost those some of these other islands here too. So yeah, and let's not forget the bridge collapse. Well, the dam collapse, causing a massive flooding, which delayed the Ukrainian attacks, and some people thought that was part of the Ukrainian attack, and then Ukraine didn't use it to attack anything, and then it was a whole big thing. So there was a lot to this story. A lot happened. Like a lot happened, and people are boiling it down to just to this oversimplified view of things, that if Ukraine didn't advance further inland, then that means it's a failure. I don't view it that way. I don't really care about them advancing inland. I don't think they're ever going to advance inland, and I think if their goal was to advance inland, they wouldn't have attacked here. I don't even want to say where it is, but there's another place that you would attack if you wanted to attack inland, because that place is better for going inland, because it can support heavy vehicles. I don't even want to throw it. I don't even want to say where it is. I want people to not really talk about it, because maybe it'll happen one day, and it's better if we don't talk about it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe talking about it doesn't matter. But I don't care if they go inland. I just don't care, and I don't even care what their goals were. Like, maybe their goals were to go inland. I don't care, because what they achieved was remarkable. They pinned down like a division with like 100 guys, and caused tremendous damage. They took out what, like 200 military vehicles of various sorts, along with a whole bunch more of other vehicles like loafs and SUVs and stuff. They destroyed a huge number of infantry, and the artillery. And you can't overlook the value of the artillery. From what I've heard, Russia was averaging 10 artillery pieces a day destroyed in around Krynky area. 10 a day. That's a lot. That's a lot of artillery over 9 months. It's an enormous amount of artillery to lose.
If the rumored numbers of 900 to 1,000 ish casualties on the Ukrainian side are true, it's like, don't get me wrong, it's horrible that people die. But considering the amount of damage that they did on the Russians there, it's absolutely remarkable. And yeah, people probably did mistakes, and people died because of those mistakes. But at the same time, I would say that this is one of the largest accomplishments of the ground forces last year, or this past 12 months.
Yeah.
It's an enormous success measured in material losses taken on the enemy.
And they took out a lot of very high value equipment as well. T90Ms, BMP4s, a BMD force. It is a lot of high quality, high value equipment that will never be replaced.
And if you so the thing is that if you think about this in a little bit larger picture, they also bound up enormous amount of supporting forces, logistics. If I don't remember wrong, Ukraine also took out enormous amounts of long-range Russian rocket artillery on the other side.
And air defenses.
Yeah. And these were all a part of that operation for the Russians. Those resources, or at least a lot of them, would have been used other places along the front line all these 12 past months. So the value, not just of the losses, but also binding up those forces in what may have been launched as a deception operation when things went really south, down towards Tokmaki. I guess that should be a part of the equation as well.
And the thing is, we're still finding losses, right? Because a lot of artillery losses, as an example, they are in the forest. They will probably never be found until someone, after the war is over, walks through them and finds them and then tells us where it was. But that being said, there's a large number of unknown losses in that area. So, and even what is known as of now is already tremendous.
Hey, Geek, I think you remember this. Do you remember the desert tungsten party that the Russians had?
Of course, yeah.
That should be considered as part of the Russian losses because of this. I don't think they would have had people there.
Oh well, I would disagree on that one, since it was practice and they used it training ground before. So,
Are you sure?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay. Anyways, I mean,
Another thing is that it tied up their air force. They were dropping tremendous numbers of airstrikes every day of every type. They were dropping bombs, helicopters. Those helicopters being used so extensively in Krynky and across the river from Krynky is actually very good for Ukraine, because those helicopters were shooting missiles, shooting guided missiles at houses and things of that nature. Whereas they could have been shooting those same missiles at armored vehicles, doing medical evacuations. They could have, but instead they were in Krynky. They also dropped hundreds and hundreds of bombs. Those bombs would have been dropped regardless, but instead they're all dropped in Krynky. Where I don't think Ukraine ever had more than a platoon in Krynky. I think they were only fighting with a battalion total. And I don't think that battalion was in Krynky. When they say a battalion, I think it was a battalion on all of these bridgeheads combined, not a battalion in Krynky. I can't, I don't know how to view this as a failure. It doesn't make sense to me. And we're just talking about Krynky. We're just, Lahiri had a ton of casualties too. They were losing a lot of vehicles in Lahiri. We don't have as many of those because the drone team that was there, they don't really publish to Telegram or whatever. They don't publish as often. They publish some videos, but much fewer, like way fewer. And they were taking out tons of vehicles too. And Oleshki, Ukraine was wiping the floor in Oleshki due to these bridgeheads. So, and to a lesser extent, I don't know how much you can tie this in with the bridgeheads, but there's a ton of damage done in the Kinburn Spit. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. It may have happened regardless, because they're doing things like bombing Ochakiv and bombing Rybakivka. These are two like important port towns. So it may have happened regardless. I don't know. But there's just so much damage. And we have no clue. We have no clue to full extent. Because Lahiri alone, I mean, we may be missing half of the vehicles, to be honest. Like between Lahiri and Oleshki. So yes, I just wanted to talk about that briefly. And that's what the title was about. Everybody was asking me, what is everybody freaking out about? And it was that. It was Krynky.
Hey, I'm guilty. I fantasized about those two bridgeheads, Krynky and not two, but the one just south of the desert, and Krynky kind of linking up eventually. I of course I was fantasizing about it. Did I think it was realistic? No. I wish it would be possible. Ukraine could have
I think
isolated an area where
there's a universe where it could have been possible.
Yeah.
But it would have required Ukraine having very substantially more manpower and more artillery.
And air defenses, because all of these areas here inside this forest and along the river where you could actually dig in, it would have needed to be protected from these fucking glide bombs and helicopter attacks. I think that was one of the biggest reasons why linking up and actually liberating or deoccupying more territory here and getting towards that desert and having it towards your back so you could actually get some natural barrier between you and the enemy. I think the air power is the missing piece. It's really frustrating, but Ukraine did amazing with what they had. This was all light infantry except some BV-206, right?
Andrew, switching to a lighter topic and also linking it to the air power, I just shared a link in Discord in our group chat. You should play this. You can show it. Nothing happens. But so first of all, if you are a Russian commander, it's very important you always choose some fertilizer warehouses for your own command. So this is one lesson which we should learn from this. But also, I thought it would be interesting to geolocate that. And they don't show an impact. So the question is, what did they hit this with? But look at this.
Maybe it was an FPV drone.
I mean, from the smoke, it's most likely that there was nitrate or something like that. In my opinion, it's a farm building.
They've used an FPV drone to do this before. Remember, who was that? The dive bomber group. I can't remember what they're called. They hit fertilizer with an FPV drone, and it did this. Blew up everything.
Look, go back to the beginning of the video. Okay, a little bit into the video. 5 seconds at least. Yeah, do you see all those white bags in the sheds? Yeah. And then go to the end of the video where you see the crater.
Yeah. I bet it's an FPV drone.
Yeah, it's those white bags of fertilizer. Come on, look at that explosion. Man, I feel so sorry for the farmer. They paid for that fertilizer, man.
Yeah, I mean.
So the claim is that this was a control point by 60th Brigade of the Russians, and that the brigade commander died there, and potentially the deputy as well. Oh no, they don't claim that they died, but instead they claim that they were located there. So this could potentially be also an interesting and important hit. Being at the 60th, it would be Staromayorsk or Staromanivka, that area. I don't know if you wanna geo it real quick, or maybe someone did already. I can tell you I already looked for 5 minutes while the stream and I didn't find it.
Is it in Kremenchik?
Hmm.
I'm just randomly guessing towns. Is it here? Yeah. So it's pretty heavily forested, and there's like a curved road. So where is there a curved road and forest?
Is it a green eyeball stream now?
I don't know if people are interested in it. If not, then we should.
Here's a
To look
curve
at it
of
later.
trees.
I remember the time when you ended the stream and then you started another stream and it was a green eyeball stream, Andrew. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Those were the times where we had like half of the videos that as we have today, I think,
Yeah, that was
where
back.
you could still do that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
we
was
were like-
that was back when I still had time to cook food, and I like ate food back then.
It was like Geek was in the comments like, there are no more new videos, what to do?
No, I don't think that was ever the case.
No, because he would just obsessively try to geolocate random
Yeah.
trees.
That were the time where I didn't exclude videos. Now I exclude them because I know that it's taking too much time.
I don't know. I don't see where this could be around here, to be honest. with this curved road and trees, where around here is trees?
By the way, if you really, really want to geolocate all the trees that Geek doesn't want to geolocate, then you can do it, but you need to be quite good. And if you do a lot of them, you will... What did you say, Andrew? That you will get like dog food?
Oh yeah,
Kibble.
yeah. You get kibble.
Yeah.
Yeah, for every. So we're making a game, right? So this is the game. Where you get locked in a room, and if you every time you geolocate something, you get a little bit of kibble. And once you geolocate enough things, the door to the outside world will open, right? That's what we're thinking.
It's not actually that far away from being a thing. There is an actual game being made, or at least an application.
Yeah.
So if you want to outpace Geek, you better come join before the counting starts.
I mean, it's quite easy to outpace me nowadays because, like, next to the geolocation, we of course do the statistics collection, and so the first part before geolocating is always to break down a video into segments, and then look at those segments and try to geolocate each segment. And the issue is that I live in a time zone which is ahead of pretty much everyone else. So, of course, not of everyone else, but everyone else of the team. And of course, Andrew tries to never sleep, so that kind of helps sometimes. But it typically also means that I start with collecting videos and breaking them down, and then I often do this more or less as a robot while, I don't know, doing something else. And so yeah, I spend too much time on that. So if you are, I don't know, if you're interested in helping breaking down videos, that would help also, to find more stuff, because I could look for it.
But you need to be awake before Geek is awake, or at least the same time Geek is awake.
Yeah, that's easy.
Wow, I just looked at the spreadsheet. You guys like got down to my little hamster pile.
Yeah, sadly.
I hit it at the bottom, and you got down to it. My hamster pile.
And there's still 33 videos to go, and I still have Telegram messages open, so
Oh boy, yeah, I haven't looked at Telegram in a while. I have thousands of messages open. But anyways, if any of you find the fertilizer that exploded, send us the thing.
Yeah. And one more thing which I noticed we should talk about is maybe your tweet about Russians and electricity not going too well together.
Oh yeah,
Also
yeah.
about the rumors of the Rostov nuclear plant, which I think are completely unfacilitated. At least I didn't really hear anything, that made sense. And there was one more thing. I tried to remember what it was while you spoke.
Okay. So, the Russians, they the maker of a lot of the equipment that runs the transformers that run the electric substations in Russia were largely manufactured in Zaporizhia, and it's somewhat interesting because there are roads that go from Zaporizhia to Russia, and along those roads, like all the bridges are designed to like be removed, so that the transformers can drive to Russia. It's just kind of an interesting thing. But anyways, Zaporizhia made those transformers for Russia, and I don't think there's any other country that makes the transformers that Russia needs. Um, Furthermore, there are only like 4 countries in the world that can make turbines that can work in the Russian power plants. The turbines have to have a minimum efficiency rating to work in their power plants to generate power. And if the efficiency is too low, then they can't actually generate power efficiently and it doesn't work. The countries that manufacture those turbines are Germany, the United States, South Korea, and Japan. I think those are the countries. Maybe Canada. I don't know. But the point is, none of the countries like Russia, and none of them are selling to Russia anymore. There are some contracts and stuff that are still working, which annoys a lot of people. But that's another story entirely. So uh, these two things combined making it really difficult for Russia to repair damage to their grid. That plus Russia canceled at the beginning of the war. They canceled a lot of their long-term infrastructure projects, which included canceling almost all of the power plants that they were scheduled to build, which pushed all of the companies that design and manufacture, design and construct power plants. Uh, they pushed them into other countries. So they reached out to like Asian countries like Uzbekistan and Turkey and whatever other countries that they could, and started making contracts to build plants in those countries instead, which wasn't ideal because a lot of those countries don't actually need power, but another story entirely. So a lot of those companies started leaving Russia, and then when the sanctions started to hit Russia, and a lot of the software that architects and whatnot use were all banned in Russia. Things like Autodesk is an example. They were banned in Russia. So those companies, because they had no contracts in Russia and may never get a contract ever again, they just left Russia to work in other countries to get their software back because they needed their software.
My God, they're so fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine you built like a skyscraper or a huge apartment building, let's say 10, 20 years ago. You saved it all in the cloud. And now you need to do some major reconstructions or find a specific pipeline inside that building, and you don't have access to the files anymore.
Yeah, they're banned. Yeah. So It's kind of funny, but yeah. So that pushed a lot of companies to leave Russia, and then also Russia at the beginning of the war, they needed troops really badly, so they drafted whoever was most convenient to draft, or conscript or whatever you want to call it, uh, and a very large portion of the linemen that in Russia were conscripted. So they took basically all of the maintenance workers for their power grid and sent them to the front line, and a lot of them did not survive. So this is the trouble that Russia is currently in with their electric grid. So first off, they can't get new turbines. Second, they can't get new transformers. Third, their maintenance workers are gone. And fourth, they're specialists in designing, constructing, and maintaining power plants have all left the country. So all these problems combined are bad for Russia. It's bad. And it's going to get worse. There's really no solution to any of these problems, because like you can't like the obvious solution would be to run like higher level maintenance to maintain what you have longer, but they can't do that because they got rid of the guys who maintain stuff. The other option would be to like buy more spare parts, but they can't do that because they're banned from buying spare parts. Or they could anyway, all of the solutions are out the window. There's really no solution. It's just they're going to try to get like stuff off the black market, which may or may not help. Like who knows, and how sustainable. Like you can't get a transformer off the black market. Like you just can't. They're huge. They're like the size of a building. You can't do that. Like they have to be purpose built, and there are not many people who can do it. People keep saying, "Oh, well, China can do it. China can't do it. China can't do it. China's not an option." They can't manufacture the stuff for the Russian electric grid. So China is not a thing. Iran can't really help. North Korea definitely can't help. Russia's like they're in a pickle, and it's going to get worse over time. There's like a few more years where they're going to be able to patch it, but it's going to degrade. And I honestly think if the war doesn't end first, this issue will end the war. Like this is kind of like a horizon for Russia. When their power grid collapses, they're going to have to give up. This war is not going to last like 20 years, like people think. It's like it just can't. Gek, did you remember?
No, sadly
Okay.
I didn't, and I felt like it was actually something interesting to talk about. But instead, what we should mention is, I think, Konstantin's fundraiser.
Yeah, I have
Because
Konstantin's fundraiser in the description of the video. He is fundraising for um, excavators. Uh, here is a. I know the fundraiser has stalled. Um, the goal of the fundraiser is $85,000, and it has about 60,000 last I looked. So the fundraiser is going to buy engineering equipment. It's going to excavators, and so yeah, it's getting stuff like this, and these excavators are very useful, and the guys love them, and you may look at this excavator and say, oh, it's so cute and tiny, right? Do you know what the guys are saying? The guys are saying this excavator is too big. We want one cuter and tinier. They want the cutest and tiniest of excavators. They want like a baby sized, like baby's first excavator sized. Smaller is better because you can work between the trees. That's why. And you can deploy them faster. But yeah, this here is I believe it's a 5.5 ton. This is one of the excavators that was delivered already. He's digging a little hole. You can see how it can operate between the trees, which is cool. Doesn't do too much damage to the surrounding ground. And it can dig you a nice little hole. And they want more, basically. They want more. You see how this has to use a trailer because it's a 5.5 ton excavator. Yeah, if you would like to support his fundraiser, there's a link in the description of this video. Look at a little shovel. Look at a little. Anyway, there's a link in the description. I have one link to the PayPal and I have one link to the Twitter post, and you can do that.
You're helping Ukrainians. I mean, I would be so grateful if one of those showed up, instead of me being forced to dig a bunker with shovel.
Yeah, so basically one of these things does as much work as 20 men. So you can have 20 guys with shovels or this thing. And this is better. Or
I mean,
alternatively, you could say that this digs 20 times faster. So if it would take you 20 days to dig it, this can dig it in 1 day.
And also the 20 guys aren't destroyed because ruining their backs and
Or if you're thinking with the big brain, this could be digging one thing, and then 19 guys could be digging something else.
So you still want to destroy the backs of the 19 guys.
Shovels aren't going to shovel themselves.
Yeah. What do you think about the way forward with a shoot and scoot, Andrew?
No shooting.
I mean, it's official U.S. doctrine now, according to their army.
Yeah, you shoot and scoot. Shoot and scoot into a trench. I hate shoot and scoot. I'll tell you this. Before this war, I really had no opinion on shoot and scoot. I've seen so many people die shooting and scooting. I've seen so many people die that it is so stupid. It is, and the people who are championing this idea, I don't know what they're looking at. Like, I've seen so many artillery crews wiped out. So
What do you
many
think about-
vehicles lost.
So the Archer artillery system was made for a different time, GWatt area, right? Where shoot and scoot actually could have been a thing. But now, basically all the new artillery systems are mimicking and trying to be the Archer.
Here's the thing. Is that this is what people don't understand, I think. Okay, so say you have to shoot 200 shells a day. That's like, if you're an artillery piece, you have to shoot like 200 shells a day. Like, that's just like being real, okay? Like, that's real life. You have to shoot 200 shells. These vehicles, like these SPGs, they only carry like 20. So that means for you to shoot 200 shells a day, this is what it means. So you have to send out your scouts. Your scout has to find a firing position. Then you have to drive to that firing position, fire your 20 shots, then go back and reload. Send out another scout to a completely different firing position. Then drive out, shoot your 20 shots, go back and reload while you send out scouts to do it again. And you have to do that 10 times a day. You have to find 10 completely different firing positions per day. Do you know how hard that is to do? Like if you're in a location, there may not even be that many firing positions. You might have to start reusing the firing positions, in which case you're just making yourself a giant target because they know that's your firing position. So if you're just going to end up reusing the firing positions anyway, because you probably and even if there are 10, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow you do it again. You need 10 more tomorrow. So, at some point you're going to run out of firing positions. Like you're going to run out of places where you can shoot, where it's like you have to have the terrain in your favor. Like everything has to be in your favor. Like you can't shoot anywhere you want. Like there's a limit. Like there's criteria involved in picking where to shoot. You're going to run out of firing positions, and then you're going to you're going to fall into patterns. And if you're going to be reusing the firing positions over and over again, why not just fortify the firing positions? And then at that point, if you're fortifying the firing positions because you're reusing them over and over again, why keep moving? And then the whole concept of shooting and scooting falls apart once you realize that you have to fire so many shells and you're going to be running back and forth to constantly reloading 10 times a day. And all of that driving is going to make you a giant target. You're going to get destroyed. You're going to get killed. That's why it makes no sense. If you're just shooting like 5 shells a day, then it's okay, fine. You can shoot and scoot your 5 shells. But when you're out there shooting like 200 shells a day, like an actual artillery piece, it doesn't work. It makes no sense.
So if you can shoot 150 kilometers, then it makes sense, right?
I guess. I mean,
but when your range is 35, 50, or even 20, you're going to be killed by the drones. Even at 150 kilometers range, there's a risk you will be taken out by the drones. But the risk is obviously a lot less, but I mean, we don't have those Ramjet 155s yet, so.
And these countries that are building their whole military around shooting and scooting, good luck. Because it's not going to work. It's just not going to work, and they're going to learn the hard way.
And that doesn't mean that SPGs isn't the way to go, because we see the Ukrainians employing that SPGs in a very, very good way. Was it a video of the crab that had this massive dugout?
Yeah.
That's how they survive.
Yeah, and you bring ammo to the artillery piece for your fire mission. It's basically just a portable towed gun. It's like it tows itself.
And even in maneuver warfare, this is going to be a problem, because it's not about being in the same position for months. It's just about being in the same position for a couple of hours, and then if it's not fortified, you're fucked.
Yep.
And the more time you spend on the road, the easier it is for drones to spot you and find you.
Yep. And you'll have no fortifications to hide in either, because you apparently want to keep driving. Anyways. Yeah, crabs in a hole is an old concept. Crabs like holes. And they like carapaces. They're 2 things they like. Thank you, Ozzy T. Anyways, I think we're going to stop the stream here. It's always nice to stop on Shoot and Scoot. I know everybody loves talking about it. I don't want to ever talk about Shoot and Scoot. I only talk about it because countries are actually adopting this idea. Oh my god. Anyway, we have to stop them. We're gonna stop them. We're gonna stop them.
Are you not gonna talk about the Boxer?
No. We're gonna stop the Shoot and Scoot.
Hey, it only costs 16 million euros.
We're going to replace it with the Scoop and Shoot. Okay, it's different.
Let's start a trending Twitter scoop and shoot.
Right. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.